Hello and welcome to Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogunshaki. Of course, it's a beautiful morning in the city of Lagos, southwest Nigeria. Now let's move straight to the front pages of the dailies this morning. I'm starting with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with after doctors, mass exodus of teachers from Nigeria looms as United Kingdom eases conditions for Nigerian teachers. Over 350,000 teachers certified by the TRCN may migrate. England looking for cheap labor that's coming from NUT. It is not brain drain, that's a TRCN. Teachers' welfare needs improvement. Adamo Lekun is saying that one. You can see that story on page 5 of Vanguard newspaper. And of course, Argentina won the World Cup as King Messi is football immortality. You can see that story on page 55. Because Argentina 3, France 3, and 4 are two penalties. Now on page 11, we have many fear dead as herdsmen invade Enugu community. Kogi, Agbakoba tried EFCC over alleged media trial. The article Kwankwanso Obi Tinubu perspectives. Can they muster the political will? You can see that story on page 28. On page 9, military warns retired generals against betrayal. PDP, APC dead, NNPP credible alternative that's coming from Kwahwaso. Armed others killed three in Makodi. You can see that story on page 6. Stories above arrest politicians buying PVCs from poor voters. SERAP tells Buhari and flight delays, cancellations, no respite as aviation authorities, airlines, others differ. You can see that story on page 47. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, of the financial Vanguard, AMCON charges GOP 269 billion naira from banks' earnings. You can see that story on page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper. Away from that, we move to the Punch. And the Punch this morning is leading with Finance Bill, Dangote, 7 Up, 170 firms may lose 2.4 trillion naira tax waivers. 47 new applications await government nods as Finance Bill undergoes NAS approval. Federal government eyes over 2 trillion naira company tax revenue. Government warned against tax incentive removal. You can see that story on page 6. Again, we have the photo story of Messi as it shines as Argentina break 36-year World Cup jinx. You can see that story on page 43 of the Punch newspaper. On pages 4 and 5, Lagos couple lament 594 million naira loss to investment scam. Unused SIMs rise by 177% to 105 million. You can see that on page 34. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, 80 million Nigerians risk job loss 2030. That's according to World Bank. You can see that story on page 32 of the Punch newspaper. Away from there, we'll move to the Guardian. And the Guardian this morning is leading with concerns as government shrinks of key inflation drivers. Interest hike targets only 10% of inflation cause. Analysts worry about energy crisis in January as European Union sanctions comments. World Bank inflation stems from lack of commitment to reforms. Food shortage continues to ring alarm bells. You can see that on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Stories above, reveal your real name, background, article campaign to Dels Tinubu. You can see that story on page 3. Lastly, on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, we have Ohaneze Naxi EFCC over utterance on Ekwerimadu's trial. You can see that story on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. And the Nation newspaper this morning is leading with article dumps Makinde for Adeleke bypasses G5. Our financial reconciliation meeting with Wike, others collapses. PDP candidates to rely on old allies in Benue, Rivers, Abia, and Enugu. You can see that story on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. Messi makes history with Argentina. Stories above, 25 generals among 756 retired senior military officers. You can see that on page 2. Why federal government can't add 24 trillion naira loan to national debt. You can see that on page 3. Lastly, on the front page of the Nation newspaper, we have DSS withdraws personnel from Osun Governor Adeleke. You can see that story on page 3 of the Nation newspaper. And that's all we have on the front pages of the dailies this morning. Join us after the break for the analysis. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I'm Damlola Okunshakin. Joining me today is Mr. Aliu Mohammed, now the CEO of Magnet Communications, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. Good morning, Mr. Aliu.
Good morning, Damilola. How are you?
Very much. Thank you. Argentina defeated France 4-2 in a penalty shootout to win the World Cup for the third time on Sunday. What do you think? I think like 90% of the world seem to support Messi.
Yes, Messi was the star of that match, and Argentina has broken a jinx of 30,
Of 36 years.
36 years. They've won the World Cup. I congratulate them. A lot of predictions came up that France was going to win, and we all seem to have all our eyes on France. But you see, it is a testament to the fact that victory goes to whoever God has destined it to go to, not what the people want. It has further strengthened my faith in God that victory will always be for the person that has been destined to have it. If you look at the match, I can see the hands of God in it, not the hands of men. Because all eyes were on France, including me. I thought France was going to win. But that is the work of God. I congratulate Argentina for their victory and wish them all the best. They are already savoring the victory.
Yes,
I saw a lot of videos and photographs of the celebration. I would have celebrated like that if Nigeria has been part of that World Cup and won.
Well, do you
I wish it is Nigeria that has won.
That has won.
I am a patriot. Despite all the problems that we go through in Nigeria, I still believe in the nation Nigeria. I believe in everything called Nigeria. If we have the right leadership, we will rise above all the problems that we are going through.
All right, let's hope we can make it for the next World Cup.
I pray so.
Okay, so the front page this morning is leading with the story of mass migration. And of course, we witnessed medical personnel as they traveled to Europe and North America, for greener pastures. Now, the same may soon be witnessed in the education sector, as it seems United Kingdom will start employment of qualified Nigerian teachers from February next year. And as it seems that over 350,000 Nigerian teachers are qualified for that role. What do you think about
this? You can see that I'm laughing. You see, as a country, we must have the welfare of our workers as a matter of top priority in whatever we do. But if you look at the way the government treats its workers, one cannot blame any worker that wants to go abroad for any reason. Look at an average teacher in government employment. They will work for, say, 35 years. Once they are 60, they have to retire from service. And they will have to wait for years to get their gratuity and later their pension. It calls for a lot of concern if a teacher, having retired from service, will have to wait for over 2 years to have his pension paid. What will he be eating? How will he survive? These are the concerns that always confront an average employee in government service. And that is why you see a lot of government employers, once they have the opportunity to steal government money, they go ahead and steal very well because they are afraid of tomorrow. If a worker is well treated and he earns a living wage, do you know the meaning of a living wage? That is the wage that you can feed on and feed from and have some savings. But an average teacher is treated like somebody that is used and dumped. Not only the teachers, even a lot of workers. Can you still imagine that in Nigeria of today, some workers still earn 30,000 naira? Some earn less than 30,000 naira in some states, which they call minimum wage. If you go to a supermarket these days, you are likely to spend that 30,000 naira under 10 minutes. Because by the time you pick a few things you need in your home, that 30,000 is gone. So I wouldn't blame those who are seeking for greener pastures. They want to better their lives. When you sit down and look at the fact that there is no hope in what you are doing, you have to rethink and think very well about what will face you when you retire. That is the concern of the majority of those who are going abroad. And the UK government is also wooing them. They want people to teach our languages, Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, in their own country. I have seen an advert like that from UK institutions asking for application from Nigerian teachers who want to teach Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. And you see a lot of people applying. Why? Because they are not well treated here in Nigeria. If you are not well treated in your home country and somebody is saying, come, you will earn £100 in a week. And you know what £100 means in a week. If you change it to Naira, will you stay in Nigeria? You want to go. Number one, there is safety in the UK. You can move around anytime, unlike here in Nigeria that by 7 o'clock you'll be running back to your house. If you are abroad, you shop more at night. I shop more at night. I will leave my hotel at 12, 1 a.m. to shop. I dare not do that in Nigeria. You have access to good Medicare through health centers. What else do you want? Nobody will not be enticed by such amenities. If you want to live in a decent environment, although you have to pay a lot of tax. You pay a lot in terms of taxes there. You are going to pay for gas, especially now that it is cold. They've increased the price of gas there. You have to pay for your light, not in Nigeria where people avoid to pay for NEPA. No. But you will enjoy those facilities and you will work and work very hard. It's not that you go to London and you work for 2 hours, sleep in the class for 2 hours. No, there is no time for that. So they should also be prepared to work hard. I am encouraging anybody that have that kind of opportunity to take it up.
But the Lagos State Chairman of NUT, Akintoye Zan, said that they are looking for, UK is looking for cheap labor. That's looking for to minimize costs.
You see, now, if you say cheap labor, put on the table what you are paying your teachers here, and let the UK tell you what they want to pay that you are looking at as cheap labor, and break it down to Naira and Kobo. You will discover that it is more than what these teachers earn in a month. What they earn in a week will be more than what they earn in a month. So you can't call that cheap labor. If I earn $100 per week, what is the exchange rate now? 900 and something times 100. That's almost 90,000. A teacher in Nigeria in a primary school will not earn 90,000 in Nigeria. So you can't call that cheap labor. Don't forget that when you go abroad, you are first of all expected to go for training in whatever area you want to be employed. But now, because they are going to be teaching, a lot of these teachers are going to be teaching our local languages. They don't need to go for any certification before they get employment. They are going to get a straight employment there. Most of them are not going to London to teach English language, no, because they already have teachers that are teaching these languages. They are not going there to teach French. No. A lot of them are going to teach Nigerian languages. So they don't need to go through any training to do that. So what the NUT Lagos branch chairman is saying is questionable. Whatever it is that they are paying, I am sure will be more than what they earn. They are paying in a week in UK will be more than what they earn here in a month. So I wouldn't blame any teacher that we apply for employment in the UK, because you have better amenities. There is nothing like Boko Haram. There is nothing like you can't go out at night. There is nothing like you sit down from morning till night. There is no light. No. So everybody deserves a good life. Any teacher that wants to go, have my support for as long as we are unable to improve their welfare here in Nigeria. You can call me an unpatriotic Nigerian. I don't care. But the truth of the matter is that workers deserve the best from their government.
All right, less than 70 days now to go for the 2023 general election. And SERAP has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to direct the Attorney General of the Federation, as Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, and he said that they should try to identify and arrest politicians who are allegedly buying permanent voter cards from Nigerians and probably bring them to justice. What do you think about this?
That's a tall order, because for as long as people are willing to sell their PVC, you have politicians that are willing to buy them. It takes two to tango. And that is what you get in a situation where there is a terrible hunger in the land. If somebody sits down and think of selling his voter's card, which is a right to choose leaders over some years, then it is a very desperate situation. Because if I am okay in terms of being able to have 3 square meals, I won't think of selling my voter's card. EFCC, they are all human beings and they are all political animals. So if you ask them to sit down and start looking for those, it's just like something that may not happen. The people that are selling their voters card must first of all be educated against the act of selling their voters card. And for that education to be absorbed by them, you must eliminate hunger. So they said an hungry man is an angry man. You can't talk to an hungry man. You are just talking to yourself, because it's not listening to you. So for as long as there are people willing to sell their voters card because of hunger, because they want to have a meal per day, there will be willing buyers. And it will be difficult for the EFCC to track down those who are buying, because you won't even know where and when the buying will take place. That's why I said it is a tall order. We must one of the weapons of politicians is hunger. They thrive in a situation where there is hunger and starvation, and they come out with branded rice, branded gari, branded. You've been seeing all that, and throw them at people, believing that by doing that they have become popular. Those people will go out and vote for them. I can tell you that if you give those materials to 100 hungry voters, you will hardly get 10 of them that will vote for you, because for attending your rally in the first place is due to the fact that they want to solve the problem of hunger that they are facing. And once that is resolved, it is difficult. You are not even too sure of the state that they will be during election. They may not even have the money that will take them out to the polling booths. So that is why hunger and starvation, though a weapon of the politicians, must be eliminated. It will be in their favor to eliminate hunger and starvation, because during the campaigns, you will see a huge crowd. But on the day of the election proper, you will see far lesser than the crowd you saw during your campaign. They all came because they are sure that at the end of their visit to your campaign ground, they will collect money, 2,000, 3,000, small bags of rice, small bags of gari. That's what they get.
I think we need to include the loaf of bread also.
Yeah, or some. There is a politician in Agege, I don't want to mention his name, he will buy the entire bread stock produced in a day and give it to people at his campaign ground. So you see, for as long as we continue to see hunger and starvation as a political weapon, it's like we are shooting ourselves in the foot.
But as it is now, just days to the election, do you think we can stop food buying?
I said it's a tall order. I have just told you that it is a tall order, because for as long as people continue to be starved, people continue to wake up in the morning and they don't know what to eat. A lot of people want to sell whatever they have. You have people selling their shoes. You have people selling their clothes. So why will it be difficult for those who are selling their clothes to sell their voters' cards?
But will beavers be able to stop this in a way?
I don't understand what you are saying.
The beavers machine.
Okay. Yes. The man that is selling his card is not selling it because he wants the person that is buying it to use it to vote. They will buy those voters' cards and use it to perpetrate some aspects of rigging. But fortunately, we have Section 50 of the Electoral Act, which has sufficiently tamed that part of our voting system. Because now the only way you can cheat is to, after voting, is to add some voting to some ballot boxes to whatever has been taken from the polling booths. But that is going to be checked by Section 50 now, which prescribed that all results must be forwarded electronically to the INEC, to various INEC offices in different parts of the country. So it will be a difficult thing. Whoever is selling the voters' card can do that, but they may be ignorant of the content of the amendments that have been made to our electoral acts, which we check some of those terrible acts of rigging.
All right, let's move away from that and talk about the security of the country. Now, the Chief of Defense Staff, CDS, General Lucky Rabo, he has advised retired generals in the Nigerian Army and equivalent to avoid them comments about the armed forces that made them after serving for 35 years, saying such amounts to betrayal of the service. Yes, what do you think about this?
Well, I want to support him because so far, the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Armed Forces have tried to sustain political rule since 1999. In the past, we used to have military interventions every 6 or 8 years of a civilian administration in the country. But we've been able to sustain the present political dispensation now for 25 years. And so we must commend them. The army is trying within the ambits of the equipment provided for them. Because as an army, you must have enough equipment to work with. You've been talking of Boko Haram, you have banditry, you have kidnapping, and in the midst of inadequately staffed armed forces. You can imagine the number of bandits in Sambisa and the number of soldiers that we have, badly armed. Yet they have tried to ensure that these people are tamed. Not 100% performance, but I think they deserve some kudos. So I support the Chief of Army Staff over what he said, that it's been able to contribute to the sustenance of democracy for 25 years. So I commend the Nigerian Army. January 15 will be another Armed Forces Remembrance Day. They've lost a lot of men, and I think it is an opportunity to talk to the government on the need to provide modern and sophisticated equipment for the performance, good performance of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Because you see, if you sit down and review what is going on in the country, nobody will not know that we need modern equipment. A situation where kidnapping will be taking place close to military checkpoints, and the military will not be aware of such an incident taking place within the ambits of their checkpoints. It is not acceptable. We've had situations. The Anglican Archbishop, I don't know whether you can recollect his testaments after he was released. He said he was kidnapped less than 50 meters to a military checkpoint, and nobody knew. So you now sit down and you want to know whether there are moles within the armed forces who are working with kidnappers and bandits. I don't want to believe that we can have such a situation. If we do, it will be like about 2% within the armed forces. But the truth of the matter is that the Nigerian Army needs to be well equipped. We have the Super Tucanos, 12 of them. I believe if that is properly deployed to good use, we should have a resounding victory against banditry and kidnappers in Nigeria. But from the reports that we have read online and in regular newspapers, that they are being restrained from going all out with the Super Tucanos because of its level of destruction if fully deployed. You understand what I'm saying? I wonder if that is true. Because if you are in an area occupied by bandits and you are restraining the use of Super Tucanos, when you know that the area is not a residential area, but the bush, if I am the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces, I would deploy the entire Super Tucanos to that area. If they can kill all the bandits there and their children and their entire family in that bush, so be it. Once I'm convinced that the area is not an area that is populated by civilians and non-criminals, I will do. But those who are restraining them from total deployment of the Super Tucanos knows why they are doing that. But again, the safety of the nation is paramount against whatever interest that is at play.
Let's end this with Mr. and Mrs. And the first person speaking this morning is Mrs. She says, the girl on the ground asked after you when I demanded what for. She became rude. I want to know if you wrote the script she acted. And Mr. replied, don't he said, don't bust a blood. You are the leading actress in my life. Yes. Any other woman is a waka pass.
The man he has said the truth.
I think I like that waka pass.
Waka pass. Yeah, the real woman and the waka pass. By the way, how are we preparing for Christmas? Nobody is talking about that.
It seems the whole. When you look at
the country,
decorations is even
no decorations, nothing. Even corporately, you don't see the decorations anywhere. What is going on?
I think I spoke to someone who said they need to postpone Christmas.
No, Christmas can't be postponed. It will still happen on Sunday.
I will just hope, of course, people will celebrate a lot. And, of course, you still have to give it to the condition of the country.
There are times God wants us to celebrate in a low-key manner. I think these are some of those times. So we must celebrate very well, but with a lot of caution. You know the situation in the country. May God see us through this Christmas and many more.
Yes, amen. Thank you, Mr. Ali, for joining us this morning. And of course,
Most
he is
welcome.
now the CEO of Magnet Communications, former editor of Daily Times and Concord newspaper. He just reviewed and analyzed some of the stories on the front pages with us this morning. Now, to get more of our top stories, you can follow us on all our social media platforms showing on your screen on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Our WhatsApp number is also displayed on your screen. My name is Damlola Okushaki. Have a lovely day.
Thank you.